to another reading vlog. I decided that I want to pick up weekly reading vlogs again. Vlogs are like my favorite thing to film and edit and watch, so I want to get back into the swing of doing it weekly. So let's jump into what I'm reading. So I am reading several things right now. So yesterday I picked up The Vanished Birds, and this is like a sci-fi story of a found family, essentially, a woman that she travels like in space and goes to different planets, and she has like slowly watched everybody she loves die, basically, because she doesn't age in the same way that, you know, the people on these planets do. She ages very slowly, so does her crew, and so they are very separated from everybody else. And this young boy ends up getting saved and joining their crew, and our main character gets very attached to him. And I'm really liking it so far. I'm only 73 pages in, and the sci-fi element is very accessible. The writing is a little bit requires a little bit of attention, but it's not necessarily a bad thing. I'm excited to see what more happens. I have a feeling I might get emotional at this because that's just the type of writing there is. Like, it's easy to get swept up into it, and the writing is so good that it makes it easy to relate to the characters and feel their pain. So I'm excited about this one. Then yesterday I also picked up Quileute, which I didn't know was a middle grade, but apparently it is, and it's the story of our main character. She has no powers, but she's friends with, like, I believe 1 or 2 witches, and when children go missing in their village, I think she decides that she wants to learn magic, and then they want to figure out what happened. This one I am only 30 pages into, and it's an interesting concept so far. Like, really nothing's happened. She just started hanging out with the people that I think have magical powers. And then the last thing that I am reading is, I'm listening to an audiobook of All the Light We Cannot See, which I believe is a World War II historical fiction, and has 2 POVs, and I haven't really dived all that much into it. I don't know if I'm going to continue it. I don't know if I'm going to pick it up physically because it is a library book that I have or what, but I'm not really feeling it. It's kind of dry, and I'm not like a huge historical fiction person. Like, the only historical fiction I've ever liked is The Book Thief, and I love that book. Like, it's one of my favorites, but it's just never been a genre that I've really enjoyed. So we'll see how I go with that one. And then I'm also reading the tome 2 of the Vinland Saga manga. So this is about Thorfinn. So far it's about Thorfinn. Like I said, I'm only in tome 2. It's about Thorfinn, who is trying to avenge the murder of his father, and murderer he basically was captured by. So this murderer, his name is Askeladd, and he's in charge of like a band of mercenaries, and they were hired to kill his Thorfinn's father. And so when they kill Thorfinn's father, they take Thorfinn, and he basically joins the band, and he's training, and he's like doing missions with them and stuff, but he's also like training to defeat Askeladd and like avenge the murder. It's really good so far. It's about Vikings attempt to take over England. I think this is while Alfred is king, or Alfred just left, and so they're fighting like in little individual like kingdoms. It's really good. It's definitely very hard hitting. There's a lot of like kind of rough topics if you know anything about Vikings. Like, they kill, they rape, they take slaves, like they do a lot. So it's from the point of view of a young boy. I would say he's maybe between the ages of 12 and 15, but it's definitely not like young adult content or young like children's content, but it's really good so far, and I'm excited to continue. I don't know if I'm going to continue after tome 2 because only up to, I believe, tome 2 is what I can read for free with my manga subscription. So I don't know how far I'm gonna get, but I'm really liking it. I'm only about 100 pages into that, and it's about 400 and some change. So I'm gonna continue with that. But those are the books that I'm planning on reading. I might pick up an ebook while I'm here at work, but if not, I'll be reading one of these 2 books. I'm the only one in the office this week because my boss is on vacation, so the only people that will be in and out are like the volunteers, but they are out on projects when they're here, so they really just drop into the office very briefly. But I'll be the only one here. So yeah, that's my plan for this week. If you watched my Disney-a-thon part 2 vlog, you'll know that I donated, or I did an unhaul of a bunch of books. I didn't talk about them, but I showed you my shelves and stuff. Sorry, someone came into the office, so if it looks different, that's why. But so I have a bunch of books that I needed to take to donate, and I need to call around to my local bookstores and see if they're taking donations. I have a Goodwill, like maybe 3 miles from my house, and I pass it on my way home from work, but I would rather donate it to like a small bookstore. So yeah, I need to call around to the bookstores and see if they're taking donations, and then figure out what I want to do. But yeah, that's it for my week. Like, me and my partner still aren't doing much. My birthday is on Friday the 28th, so I don't know if we're gonna try to do something. Probably not. Like, we talked about it, we're still really not comfortable going anywhere that we don't have to go, just because we have like people and animals in our life that we don't want to negatively impact with our decisions. Like, he might be okay. I have immune issues, and then we have animals, and we have elderly people in our lives, so it's more than just us, and we don't want to potentially, you know, kill someone or really negatively hurt them just because we want to go to a restaurant, you know what I mean? So I'm not sure what we're gonna do for my birthday. We don't generally do anything anyways, like we might go to dinner, but that's really it. So yeah, we'll see how the week goes, and that's pretty much it. So I will update you guys if anything more happens in one of my books today, or I'll update you guys tomorrow. It's Tuesday and we need to talk about these books. So yesterday I got 108 pages into The Vanished Birds, and I was not disliking it, but I realized that it is due to my library today, and I can't renew it because it's like a 14-day book because it's new. So I'm gonna have to set this down, unfortunately, because I am liking it. And then I got 106 pages into this, and I'm setting this down because I don't like it. So it's basically exactly what I described earlier, and it's the story of a girl who's friends with witches, and then when she like discovers that she has powers. I am 100 pages in, and there are 350 pages, so I am a little bit under halfway, and nothing has happened. It's not really keeping my interest. I don't really want to continue reading, and I have so many other books on my TBR still, or that I need to get into my library in 5 days, that I am just going to move on. So yeah, that's where I'm at. I'm at work right now, and I'm gonna be here for a couple more hours, and then I'll be home, and that's when I'll pick up another book. I haven't listened to any more of the audiobook of All the Light We Cannot See. Like I said, I don't know if I'm gonna continue reading it since it's not really my thing, but we'll see. So the books that I still have checked out are all that I haven't read are All the Light We Cannot See, Caraval, Children of Blood and Bone, Descendant of the Crane, Kingdom of Souls, and that's it. So I think I am going to start. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm going to read the first page of every book when I get home and see which one appeals to me the most, like which one I just want to continue, because my interest level is the same for all of them and they're all due the first. But for right now, I'm just watching Twitch and waiting for my day to be over. So I will update you guys when I get home and let you know what book I'm gonna start. Thursday, and that's pretty much it. I know you would have seen in my last clips that I read the first chapter in all of the books that I have left from the library, and I decided which one I wanted to go with. So I read the first chapter of Descendant of the Crane, and this was okay. I read the first chapter-ish, which is just really like these letters, which is like, I guess, the prologue, like these. And I was pretty interested in this. I am listening to the audiobook of All the Light We Cannot See, so I didn't read the first chapter of that. I read the first chapter of Children of Blood and Bone. This was also pretty interesting. And then I read the first chapter of Kingdom of Souls, and this was the most interesting to me. So it was really between this and Caraval, and ultimately, with the assistance of my partner, who I was like, I'm just gonna tell you the name and you tell me which one I should read, and he went with this one. I am 87 pages in. I didn't do a whole lot of reading once I like actually sat down yesterday and picked a book. Like, my health, like my physical health, has not been that great this week. Like, aside from I got surgery last week and on my foot, and since then I've just been struggling a lot, like being on my feet. I'll come home and I'll be really sore, and so all I want to do is lay there, and then I'm getting headaches every day for some reason. And not last night, but the night before that, I got in bed at like 5 o'clock, slept until 9 o'clock when my partner came into the room. I ate a piece of cake, drank a glass of sweet tea, and then went back to sleep for the rest of the night until I woke up in the morning. So I haven't really been doing much, but I am excited to dive into this more. It's good. It's really accessible. I think this is YA. Yeah. The writing is very accessible. The writing is very, it's pretty. I don't really know what to say. Like, I'm only 87 pages in, but I am liking it. I'm interested to see how we get from where we are now to the point where what happens in the description happens. Hey guys, so it is Friday, and I have decided that I want to rearrange my bookshelves again. If you watched my last vlog, you'll know that I rearranged them like a week ago, but it's fine. But first, let's talk about the books that I've been reading. I've been reading Kingdom of Souls. I am a quarter of the way through. I'm on 159, and it's good. It's finally like picking up. It was admittedly pretty boring, but the concept kind of like kept me going. The writing is really easy, and the writing kind of kept me going, and the world building is really interesting. So that's this. And then I got the audiobook for Children of Blood and Bone last night off Hoopla for my library, and I started this morning and I am only 47 pages in. This is very dark. It is YA, but it's heavy. Yeah, it's heavy. But really, really good beginning so far. Something that I love about YA fantasy is it always plops you down kind of in the middle of the craziness. So you don't have all of the world building and things that you'll usually see in like the denser adult fantasies, because they're not generally, the worlds aren't generally as broad and as thought up because they're not taking as much time to do it. But I love that you kind of get thrown in because it makes for a very fun and like interesting read. But those are the books that I have started. I probably won't be doing anything this weekend because, you know, COVID. We might be doing like a birthday cake today or something, just me and my partner, but more than likely not. We don't generally do anything to like celebrate birthdays or really anything. So we'll see what happens, but I think I am going to get through what I can, and then I think what I want to do this weekend is pick up some of like my favorites and reread them and see what I can get through, and I'll put a TBR together and I will let y'all know. But yeah, so I'm gonna reorganize my bookshelves. I don't know how I want to do it. I have been just watching people's videos all day. Like at work, that's all I did was watch reorganization videos. So I don't know if I'm going to do it by genre, if I'm going to do it by author. I'm not really sure. I'm not really digging the rainbow shelves anymore. And I think I also want to incorporate my TBR into my regular shelves. So we're just going to jump into it and figure it out as we go. So I decided to split my books up into genre. So my cover off of my Silence of the Lambs book ripped off, which, whatever. Okay, so this right here is all fantasy. That is like my mystery, thriller, horror thingy. More fantasy. This is just regular fiction. These two stacks are all of my Cassandra Clare books, and these are all the classics that I own. And then 2 classics, and then 2 romance things, and then 2 of my Tokyo Ghoul mangas. So I didn't quite realize how many classics that I had, and I've read maybe 5 of those. Well, no, I would say maybe 10. Between, yeah, I would say about 10. So now I have to figure out how I'm gonna put these on my shelf. I think I'm gonna put them on my shelf and by genre, and then do it by author in alphabetical order. We'll see how. Yeah, I understand, Gotham. Please don't push that stuff over. We'll see how it goes. Okay, so let's do a little tour, and I'm going to go over the books that I love. I'm not going to pull each one out individually. I have read not very many on this shelf, but I read Crime and Punishment and adored it. This is where my classics end, right here. I have read Tess of the D'Urbervilles, which I love. I read East of Eden, which is like one of my all-time favorite books. And then Anna Karenina, which is also one of my favorite books. So this is my fiction shelf up until here, just general fiction. I have read most of these, well, some of them. My favorites, I really liked City of Girls. And I really loved The Bell Jar. I haven't finished The Hate You Give. The Book Thief is like one of the only historical fictions I've ever liked. And I haven't read the rest. The Sweeney Todd book is like a fictionalized story of the demon barber of Fleet Street, which is what the musical is based off of. I don't know if he's like a real person or not, but I am obsessed with all things Sweeney Todd, the musical. So I had to have a book about it. Then we move on to my horror section, which goes until The Sundown Motel. I have read the majority of these. I really liked The Guest List. I liked it a lot more than most people. I didn't like The Good Marriage at all. I didn't like The Whisper Man or either of really the Riley Sagers, but I liked The Sundown Motel. I have read some of these Kings. The majority of the Kings that I read I actually don't own, but Dreamcatcher, terrible book. And I didn't read any of The Silence of the Lambs. And then here is like my miscellaneous books, which is really just sci-fi and romance. And they start here with Skyward. So I have Skyward and Starsight, which are sci-fi, which is why they're not in my fantasy section, by Brandon Sanderson. And then I have Birthday Girl and Punk 57 by Penelope Douglas. I gave Skyward 5 out of 5 stars. I gave Birthday Girl 5 out of 5 stars, and I gave Punk 57 4 out of 5 stars. If you are looking to get into like dark romance, if you haven't already, I highly recommend checking out Penelope Douglas. Birthday Girl I've read twice this year already, and I plan on rereading it pretty soon, so I would recommend. And then we get down to my fantasy section. The majority of these I have read, and I liked almost pretty much all of them. So obviously I have my Six of Crows duology. I have the first book in the Diviner series. I didn't read the rest. I read the second one and got bored. And then I have the Shannara Chronicles, which this one right here was made into a TV show. That's why it's like a bigger edition. And they're really good, like quick fantasy stories. I really like them. Then of course we have the Folk of the Air trilogy, which I loved. Then we have City of Brass, which I have heard great things about. And then we have my Cassandra Clare collection. To me, Chain of Gold and Queen of Air and Darkness have like the most stunning covers, so I wanted to display them. And then just more fantasy. So I have my Game of Thrones series. I lent the second one to someone, they never gave it back, so I'm missing an edition. I read this about a month or two ago, and it was absolutely stunning. Gave it 5 out of 5 stars. I don't know when I'm gonna get to Crescent City. This is like a World of Warcraft lore story. It's the video game World of Warcraft. My friend let me borrow it. Then I haven't read The Last Magician. I have my 2 stunning Erin Morgenstern books, gave both 5 out of 5 stars. Then I have my unread Brandon Sanderson books, my Lord of the Rings trilogy, the ever fantastic Morgan Crow series, the Guinevere Deception, which was decent but has a gorgeous cover, and then I have my Tokyo Ghoul mangas. So altogether, the only things I wasn't able to add, Pine Needle, to my collection, to my shelves, were the Percy Jackson series and then all of my Full Metal Alchemist volumes. I don't know if I'm gonna add the trinkets, like my little Pusheen and my All You Need Is Love and Cats, because I kind of like them bare. That is them. So that is my reorganization again. I think I like the by genre. I didn't quite realize how many classics that I had, and that I haven't read. That's kind of embarrassing, but it gives me an idea of what I do and don't have, which I guess the Rainbow did as well, but the Rainbow just kind of I was just over the Rainbow, and I like the by genre and then by author, like alphabetically. I briefly thought about turning around the books that I haven't read. I know some people do that for the books they have read, but since the majority of my bookcase is books that I have read, it would be just kind of pointless. But I think I like the way it looks, and once I get through all my library books, then I will obviously start going through my physical TBR. I don't really have a whole lot, which is good because I don't really buy books unless I've read them and liked them. But yeah, so that is that. I should go back to reading, but I probably will either watch YouTube or play some video games. Let me know what you guys think about my bookshelves and what you guys do, because I want to know how people organize their shelves, because it'll probably make me want to reorganize mine all over again. I don't know. I would really like some like really strong, sturdy, like wooden bookshelves. I don't really like the Billy bookshelves. There's nothing wrong with them. They look really nice and sleek, but I want kind of something sturdier than that. So I think I'm gonna eventually get some like really nice bookshelves, but this is just like a family piece of furniture that I just kind of acquired, and like I can't do anything with it, and there's no really, it doesn't fit the theme of my house, so I don't have anywhere to put it. So I was like, I'll just use it as a bookshelf. So that's what happened with that. But yeah, I'm just rambling at this point, so bye. Still reading Kingdom of Souls. I am 228 pages in. I have a little more than halfway to go. And I know I said that I was going to do a TBR for my birthday of just rereading stuff, but I realized that the 1st, which is Tuesday, is when all of my library books are due. So that is 5 books that I need to read between now and then, and they're all 300 plus. So I really need to get cracking on these. I know I realistically won't get through them all. I do still have the audiobook for Children of Blood and Bone, so if I can't get to that physically, I don't mind reading. I don't mind listening to it. And then I'm probably not going to read All the Light We Cannot See. So that just leaves Descendant of the Crane and Caraval, which I'm really interested in Caraval, and I'm really interested in Descendant of the Crane. So I'm really going to try to get to those. But for right now, I'm just going to focus on knocking out Kingdom of Souls and see what I can do today. So last night I didn't do any reading. I got a new editing software, and so I basically spent the whole night like trying new stuff. And shout out to Erica for recommending this editing software, because it's just brought so much like life back to my editing. Like I'm excited to edit. So that's what I was doing all last night, and I didn't get any reading done, but I'm gonna jump into it now, and I will update you guys when I get to the last third. So it is 3 o'clock on Saturday, and I have finished Kingdom of Souls. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I think that the world building and the writing was really like stunning. It was really well done. the world was crafted very well, and I think the tie-in of like the magic system and all that was very well done. But I think that too much was being packed into a 480-page book. Like, the plot was trying to do too much. There was too much storyline trying to be introduced, too many like subplots going on, and it really made the pacing very weird. So there were stretches where it was like high paced and something was always happening, and then weird spurts where it was just like dead and nothing was going on. And so it made the like getting through it to be very odd and like hard. And the characters were very not developed. Like, there was nothing as the story went on that I really felt like the characters went through. Like, our main character basically went from like this girl who had no powers to this powerful witch doctor, and it just like she didn't change. And yeah, and then this book also kind of did something that I don't like. I'm gonna put a point like right here if you don't want to be spoiled. It's very minor, but if you don't want to know anything, it's kind of to be expected. But if you don't want to know anything about this book and you want to go in blind, then skip to this timestamp. But this book did the thing where you give your main character powers, or you make them really OP, and they don't have to do any sort of development with it. So they don't have to train, they don't have to go through anything to learn how to use their powers or anything like that. And I cannot stand that. Like, I just think that it is a way to incorporate magic into your story without actually having to do any of the work of like making a non-magical person understand how to use the magic that they now have. Like, she didn't have powers her whole life, and now she gets them, and she just magically knows how to use them. And then the way that it was explained was like the people, like the chieftains, like the people that passed on her magic to her, talk in her head and tell her how to do it. And I just really feel like that's a cheap way to have the coolness of magic without having to have your character develop in any way or train in any way. And I don't like that, because like even at the end, people were dying and I didn't care, because it just felt, everything about the plot felt very low stakes. And because she had this power that she just knew how to use and didn't have to do anything, I knew that like, I knew what the ending was going to be. I knew that like nothing of import was going to happen to any of the characters. Like, I didn't really feel like I cared, because I knew that nothing was going to happen. And yeah, so I gave it 4 stars, because like the writing was really exceptional, honestly, and the world building was exceptional. I just feel like the plot could have been paced better, and the magical aspect could have been handled in a different way. Like, because there were so many lulls in the story, I feel like the author could have taken the opportunity to use those lulls to like have our main character train or something. But that just wasn't there, but that's fine. So that is that book, and I think I'm going to pick up Caraval next. And last night I made it halfway through Caraval. I am now 241 pages in. I have a little under 200 more pages, and this is not at all what I was expecting. I didn't know anything about this book before like going into it. I just knew it was about a circus, which I guess technically it is kind of a circus, more of a play. I don't know exactly what it is, but I thought it was just gonna be fun. And also I thought the romance was gonna be not what it is. If I had to be completely honest, I thought it was gonna be between our main character and Legend, or whatever his name is, the dude that runs the circus. And I'm still not sure about that. Like, one, she has a romance with someone, but I don't know if I believe his story exactly. But yeah, I mean, it's good. Like, I'm getting through it really quickly because it's really easy to read, and the plot is really fast and it's enjoyable. It's like not a murder mystery, but it's like a mystery. So yeah, I'm really liking it. I don't know if I'll read the remainder of the series. That time will tell when I get to the ending, but I'm really enjoying myself. I'm glad that I picked it up. It's by no means like groundbreaking. It's not gonna be a favorite. It might get 4 stars, might. I gave Kingdom of Souls 4 stars, and I didn't really like it a whole lot as far as like the characters and the pacing. I'm enjoying this. I just don't know how it stands up to anything else, if that makes sense. Like, I don't know how objectively good it is. You know, I am going to dive back into it. So I have finished Caraval. Okay, my enjoyment level was a 3, but this objectively is a 2. The characters were very one-dimensional. Our main character was incredibly boring and very naive and just made really stupid decisions that made me want to strangle her. The romance was very predictable, very boring, made no sense. The connection made no sense. The plot was boring. The idea of the story is that this girl has always been obsessed with Caraval, which I think is supposed to be like a carnival or a circus, something. And she writes letters to the main guy called Legend, and he never responds. And then she sends a letter that says, like, I'm getting married, I'm gonna stop sending you letters. And he sends her a letter back with tickets. So then her sister, and this like random sailor guy go take the tickets and go to Caraval. And it's like this mysterious game kind of thing, where it's like a mystery and you're trying to solve it. And I expected it to be way more like magical. In my head, I was just picturing the night circus, but like dumbed down. But it wasn't even that. Like, it didn't have any of like the fun magical tents or like any of like the fantasy feels, like none of the magic and the amazingness. And the writing was very lackluster, to the point where a concept that would have been really cool was just boring because of the way that it was written. And Legend, who is like this mysterious whatever, the one that started Caraval, you don't know the whole time whether he's good or he's bad, but he just ends up being very flat, and like you don't really care about him. And I don't know, it wasn't great. yeah, that's Caraval. So I think I'm gonna move on. It's only 1:40, so I think I might be able to get into pretty far into another book before I close out the vlog. So I have Descendant of the Crane, which is 400 pages. And then I have Children of Blood and Bone, which I already started. I am on page 47, and it is over 500 pages. So I think I'm going to pick up Descendant of the Crane and then just continue listening to this on audio if I can't get to it by the time my library it's due from my library. I am going to start Descendant of the Crane, and I will update you guys once I'm into it and have some thoughts. Hey guys, so it is Sunday about 5 o'clock. So what happened was I filmed that clip of me talking about my feelings of Caraval, and then I got lunch, and then I started watching Twitch, and then I passed out. Yeah, I didn't really do much reading, but let's wrap up the week. So I started my week by DNFing the Vanished Birds, which I was enjoying and look forward to picking up in the future. DNFing Quileute, which I was bored of, but I wouldn't mind picking up in the future when I don't have a time restriction on how long I have to read it. I started listening to the audiobook of All the Light We Cannot See and got about 70 pages in. I don't think I will be continuing this. Realized that this is a World War II historical fiction, and I'm not super into those, so I'm gonna be putting this down. I finished Kingdom of Souls and gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I finished Caraval and gave it 3 out of 5 stars.
Next time on Dragon Ball Z.
And so you guys will have to watch next week's rating vlog to find out my opinions of these. But for right now, I hope you guys liked this video. If you liked it, make sure you comment down below your thoughts on any of the books that I read this week, and I will catch you guys in my next video. Thanks so much.